Vadeal and Noahreyli land to the southeast of the map on Exile Isle and Humble Hamlet. You don't need to know these names, but I'm telling you anyway. Vadeal lands on this watchtower to the east as it has a single chest spawn and an oathbound chest as well. Then he pops the slapberries to give himself energy rejuvenation, and I'm sure his looting is much faster, and they will then rotate up to the northwest where he's going to go to Humble Hamlet and loot the remainder of the chests that are there. At the same time, Noahreyli will land onto the Exile Isle and loot this entire area, focusing on similar things, slap barrels, and of course those oathbound chests. In total, this is 20 regular chest spawns and 3 oathbound chests. One of the other good things about this drop spot is that there's safe spawns here, and Vadeal manages to get one of these. Now notice how his gold is almost up to 250. This means that later on in the game he's going to be able to re-roll his reality augments to get the ones that he wants, which will be forecast. I want to let you know, he doesn't do this once from that I can tell, because he doesn't get forecast in this game, but you should do this. For the first reality augment, they both go with Splash Medic. I know you can't see that, thank you replay mode, but you can see this because of all the additional chug splashes that come out of the containers that they're looting. In this game, they end up actually leaving with 18 total, partly due to this reality augment. And you can see across the 4 games that they actually average just over 11 chug splashes total per game, which is a huge setup. But you may understand already if you've watched my drop spot video what the main weakness of this place is. Can you guess it? Metal. That's right. So where do they go for their metal? Well, luckily right around them there is a couple boats that'll be down the bottom, which gives them a little bit of metal, additional loot alongside an oathbound chest, but on top of this there is a caravan park along here too, so they can get capped up. Notice how they're making sure they get every single piece of metal from this, even hitting the chairs individually on top, just to maximize every single piece of metal they possibly can. But not only this, if they don't manage to get enough from harvesting here, they can grab the boat and take the metal that's out in the buoys in the water. Not only is this important for farming some of this metal, it's also important for rotations around the map. Since there's no longer rifts like there was in the previous chapter, boats around the dead side of the map are going to be incredibly important in rotations. And for this north zone, which was in game number 4, Vadeal and Noah were using this to rotate that max distance zone. However, they came across a player that was rebooting on their journey. A lot of players would have just instantly W-keyed the player trying to reboot and gotten the extra elimination point for that. However, what Noah and Vadeal do is get up onto a high layer whilst that player is rebooting and easily beam that rebooted player out of the sky and then collapse in on the final solo player remaining, giving them double the elimination points. And of course, what would an analysis of these two players be without looking at some mid-game fights? The way that they open fights is nearly always just by pinching. You can see that there's a player who's managed to be left alone from his teammate, and they completely capitalize on this by going to either side and double spraying at the same time. Yeah, even though Vadeal misses most of his shots, but it's still a distraction. Once they've picked up this first elimination, Frey is left alone by himself, and they instantly recognize this and use the shockwave hammer to quickly traverse over to him, where Noah plays his specific role in this fight. Most of the time during this, he's just going to sit and spray from a distance using his SMG, whereas Vadeal is the one going for walls and trying to box fight. Once they catch up with Frey, yet again they're starting a pinch from either side of this box, and there is some beautiful box fighting mechanics from Vadeal used to finish this one off. Vadeal places a cone down and a wall to the left to ensure that Frey can't edit out on him if he was in this brick box, and whilst he does this peanut butter peek, he swings to the left to avoid Frey's shot and then chunks him back in return. Then when it comes to playing wall to wall, because Noahreyli is spraying on that side wall and Frey is distracted, Vadeal gets this wall first time. Also he's German. And yet again we have some fantastic movement. Notice how when he does the top row edit, he's actually going to crouch to avoid the shot that Frey hits, uncrouch, and hit the big pump to finish the fight off. An important distinction here is that he does not jump, because you don't need to be able to see a player over this wall. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the forecast reality augment. If you're unaware, this makes you able to always see the next storm circle. And the interesting part about this is that this actually buffs the dead side of the zone, aka the side of the zone where the least players are. So take this for example, a southeast zone, right there, that is Vadeal and Noah in this position. They do not have forecast, so they don't know where the next zone is going to be. Because this is a favorable zone for them, it's near their drop spot, it allows them easily to play that edge of the map, the dead side, where there's minimal players. But because of Forecast, a lot of the players who have this reality augment have chosen to take power positions and go close to the center of those predicted zones. So essentially what this means is the center of zones and the power positions are now even more congested than ever. But what this also means is that the dead side of zone is even more dead than ever. So if you're like Vadeal and Noahreyli and don't have the Forecast augment and have no idea where that next zone's going to be when other players do, the dead side is definitely favorable, only if you're not in a stacked Storm Surge game. Because if you're in a game where you need to deal a ton of damage and you're on the dead side of the zone where no players are, I wish you good luck. One of the very strange parts of Deadside is that there's actually a like and subscribe button there, so if you've enjoyed this information, hit it up to help your boy out. Peace.